Toga, the blonde, psychotic, mentally unstable young lady, my personal all-time favorite villainous character in Boku no Hero Academia, so today I thought why not make a video about her, she more than deserves the spotlight. Without further ado, let's get this party rolling. As I just said, Toga is definitely my personal favorite among all of the villainous characters that we've been seeing in the series so far. She's not the strongest by any means, but she's still quite effective when it comes to her area of expertise. I seem to have a thing for psychotic girls, or at least people who seem to be way out there, if you know what I'm getting at. First it was Flare from Fairy Tail, and now it's Toga from Boku no Hero Academia. I'm sure my taste is quite exotic. I like my women like I prefer my drinks. Highly toxic. One of my favorite reasons for having a liking towards Toga is because she's a villain officially, but she's always happy and smiling no matter what. It's really not how an individual of any gender or age should behave. I guess it adds to her charm in a way that she's just so one-sided when it comes to how she acts and behaves. With some exceptional moments in the series, of course. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not someone I would invite to my home because if I did, I'd be dead meat. Anyway, enough of me just going on about me and Toga. Let's go through who Toga is and what she's been going through so far in this series, because let's face it, while not having had a great amount of screen time, Toga has done some things that are very memorable. So originally, Toga was a huge fan of Stain and still is to this day. In fact, she is to such an extent that she's claimed wanting to even become Stain. Now this could be a reference to her quirk, because her quirk is quite interesting when you actually know what it does, but I'll get to that soon. However, after Stain's defeat, Toga along with Dabi and a few others that I don't really remember the names of, joined up with Shigaraki, the would-be main antagonist of this whole manga. At least from what we can guess, it's not been given a solid confirmation. Anyway, so Toga's encounter with Shigaraki is very interesting, because as I said earlier, she's a rather happy fellow. She smiles all the time as well as blushes from excitement, and when she was to be recruited by Shigaraki, she kept rambling on about how much she loved Stain, and we have to remember that at that point in the manga, Shigaraki absolutely hated Stain for not agreeing with Shigaraki's ideals or something like that, because Stain isn't really a villain, he's just a hero killer, so their ideals don't align whatsoever. This of course caused Dabi, Toga and Shigaraki to have a rumble kind of. Kurogiri of course stopped them by summoning rifts so that none of their attacks would actually manage to harm one another. And that's the interesting part with Toga, because while stretching a smile, she says that she thought she was going to get killed by Shigaraki. I mean, who the hell smiles like that when you're supposed to die? Well, I guess there are some who would smile upon death, but not in the way that she did. She has so casually said that she thought she was going to die. After that, we see Toga in the field trip arc as the villains ambush the students and the present teachers. Now, Toga ends up finding Ochako and Tsuyo, which to me was a very interesting encounter, because she doesn't just straight up attack them. I mean, she does attack them, don't get it wrong, but it's kinda as if her thought process changes in the middle of it all and considers them kind of like friends. Well, friends might be a bit of a stretch, but she gives them typical nicknames that you'd give, you know, an acquaintance. Now, if I remember correctly, Toga formed some kind of an idea that she had a thing in common with Ochako in particular, which was that they were both in love. In the midst of it all, she also kinda tells her, while holding her down I believe, that she has the hots for tattered guys who reek of blood, which very clearly is a reference to Stain. I mean, at this point in the series, you just know that Toga was going to be a great villain. Okay, let's jump to the next big thing that she was actually involved with, which was of course the provisional hero license exam. Now this is where shit got fucking real, because this is where we got to actually find out what her quirk was, and to actually learn more about how she operates in combat. She disguised herself as both Kami from a different hero school, and also Ochako, as she wanted to get a sample of Deku's blood for whatever reason, you know. Now, here's the thing that I found rather interesting, and this is also where we kind of get into her quirk. She ingests other people's blood in order to take on their appearance visually and also to mimic their voice. She doesn't get their quirk though. It's said that she needs a sufficient amount of blood for the transformation quirk to actually work, yet she only took like a drop or two from Deku, which kind of begs the question, can she reproduce his blood by having only a small amount? I'm very curious about how that is going to turn out in the future. So what can we see from Toga in the future then? I mean, she's got some great potential as a villain, especially if you consider the fact that she can in fact transform into other people as long as she has the blood necessary for it. She could be the traitor of UA. Now the reason I don't think so is because of the fact that she was actually present at the field trip, so there are some big holes in that theory. However, other infiltrations are very possible, especially since she actually has a unique stealth technique that was also seen in the provisional hero license exam. As long as she's not standing still, from my understanding, Toga is able to make her presence completely unknown as long as nobody have her in their sight. She does this by holding her breath and keeping her mind blank, so rid of all thought process just for a moment essentially, and she's gone as long as whoever's watching her can't see her when she disappears. So she can in theory infiltrate some pretty high security facilities with enough planning. She of course would need to be able to turn into someone who worked at said place and whatnot. So in the future I wouldn't put it past me if Toga actually manages to get into Tartaros, which is the prison where One for All among others are kept. We could also be seeing Toga actually get some blood off of Stain, since she did say that she wanted to become Stain and kill him in some wicked sense despite being a huge fan of his work. But that would require Stain to be freed from prison. I think he's also in the Tartaros prison unless I'm mistaken, so of course that would also rely on Toga or someone else freeing him, which if it ever happens at all won't be in a long time, I don't think. Anyway, that will be it for this video on Himiko Toga. Let me know what you think down below in the comments, and as always, if you did, please like this video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new to my channel. This has been your favorite host, Perm, and I'll see you soon.